everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video, oh boy, it's a fun one because we're going to be discussing the double standards between Chloe and Felix in Miraculous Ladybug. Now, I have made it known that I do not like Felix as a professional writer, like I literally now have a doctorate in it as of filming this. I have been a doctor in writing for a week and one day. I do genuinely think he is the worst written character in the whole show, but my feelings about Felix aside, today we're just going to be analysing the double standards between them because honestly Felix and Chloe do have similar starting points, they have similar backgrounds, but they have ended up in very different places. Felix was physically abused by his dad growing up, and Chloe was emotionally abused, neglected and abandoned by her mum, which is going to be a bit of a trigger warning for this video. That's not going to be the only time I mention it, so please don't watch it if it's going to upset you, but there are always resources in the description box below. I don't want anyone leaving this video feeling worse about themselves than before they came in. So if this video isn't for you, then please don't watch it, but I am going to talk about other things as well. But like I said, they have pretty similar starting points, but where we are now at the end of season 5, Felix has been rewarded despite all of the bad he's done and is now on the hero team. And Chloe has been taken away by her mum to be abused some more by the sounds of it, which people actually seem to be happy about. Could never be me, and I hope it wouldn't be you either, bestie. So let's get into it. So let's start the video with one of Thomas Astruc's tweets which illustrates these double standards perfectly. So he said, she transformed, she referring to Chloe, she transformed in front of everybody, willingly damaged a train to play the saviour, nearly killed all passengers, refused to give the Miraculous back, gets akumatized as a Miraculous holder, in brackets double threat, nice gift to Hawkmoth, and paralysed a whole city. But hey, good job Queen Bee. And he's not wrong, I'm not saying it is, he's right. In Queen Wasp, she transforms in front of everyone, and in the same episode she paralyses the train driver and puts everyone in the train in danger. And even though she knew she had done wrong, she refused to give the Miraculous back, and she then gets akumatized from Queen Bee into Queen Wasp. Hence why Thomas says it's a nice gift to Hawkmoth since she's wearing a Miraculous, so he'd get another one if he won. And in Miracle Queen, she paralyzes a whole city. So I'm not disputing this tweet. He is correct. All of those things happened. The tweet is factual. This all happened. I'm not pretending it's incorrect. I know it's correct. Okay. However, let's go through the tweet again, but Felix edition. So in emotion he transformed in front of everyone and then went on to snap everyone. So no, he didn't nearly kill everyone on a train, but he killed everyone in the world instead, actually did kill them. He snapped them out of existence, which I would argue is much worse than nearly killing a whole trainload of people and paralysing a city would be to kill everyone in the world. Just my opinion. He did that to play Sentimonster Saviour to Adrian and Kagami. In emotion and pretension he refused to give the Miraculous back to Ladybug, and while Felix has never been akumatized, he did willingly give Monarch Daddy almost all the Miraculous, which again, worse than what Chloe did, as she could potentially have given him the Bee Miraculous, but she didn't. She never at any point in the show has given the Bee Miraculous to Hawkmoth, not even in Miracle Queen. But great job, Argos! Since you gave him all of them. So this tweet is the clearest way to show the double standards between them. So after doing all of that I've just said, Felix gets redeemed, and Chloe doing similar but not as bad, she doesn't. And to be fair, okay, let's just state this here in the first section. I personally, maybe you disagree with me, but personally, I don't care if either of them get redeemed or not. Just whichever you're gonna do, pick one and do a good job. So if we're going to redeem them like Felix, then let's do an amazing job showing the arc and the development, how they become a better person. However, Felix's development from anti-hero to redeemed person happens off screen between pretension and representation, so it's all kind of lost on me. I don't see him become a better person really. He just kind of is one in representation. I'm like, oh, okay. And then on the flip side, if we decide that a character is completely a lost cause, they are beyond any help, they cannot be redeemed, that's fine too. That's what they do to Chloe, and honestly, whilst I would prefer Chloe to be redeemed, I don't care if they do or not, as long as whatever they do instead, which is not redeeming her, they do a good job. But are the good and logical writing decisions they made for Chloe in the room with us? Because I don't see any of them. As I just mentioned, either way, redemption or not for Felix or Chloe, I don't care what they do, okay? Which is like a blanket statement about the whole show. I don't care what they do as long as they do a good job. Like, as a professional writer, are there some things that I would personally have done in a different way? Absolutely. And as just a fan of the show, my job aside, are there ways I would just prefer it to go? Yes, also. But as long as they do a good job of whatever it is they present to us, I really don't care what they do, to be honest. Do what you want, just as long as you do it well. But that's all I ever want, for them to do it well. So I don't mind their choice to try and redeem Chloe and then be like, oh, actually not everyone can be good, let's stop that, forget that. I think that could be fascinating to explore someone who they tried to redeem but decide is a lost cause. But Chloe just seems like she's only bad out of spite or for the sake of a plot point. The decisions around her just don't make sense, and the same also goes for Felix. Again, I don't mind their choice to redeem him, but it also doesn't make sense with the way it's presented to us. So that was a bit of a superficial overview, but now we'll get down into it more and analyse their arcs individually, because why not? So Felix comes in suddenly towards the end of season 3. He tries to assault Ladybug, doesn't say sorry, gets all of the kids upset, causes a joint Akuma, has an argument with Hawk Daddy, steals a ring, leaves, creates all this chaos, and then is just like, it's not for me. I'm going back to London. In season 4, his first appearance is in episode 9, Gabriel Olagress, which he's kind of okay, and he doesn't really do anything terrible in that episode, but I am going to reference it a bit more later since it does contribute to his arc, but you don't find out how it contributes to his arc until season 4 finale when he is back the next time. That's the next time we see him. He swaps places with Adrikins, although I don't know why Felix is so willing to spend God knows how long with Lila. Personally, I just think he should have helped Adrian to stand up to his dad or dressed up as Adrian and did it for him, but whatever, maybe Felix just really likes perfume. But he uses the chance to get what he thinks is the Peacock Miraculous. It's fake, and I actually kind of really wanted to see Gaby making these, like doing some arts and crafts in his bedroom at night. That would have been great. Anyway, Ladybug recruits him thinking Felix is Adrian, and he uses the Dog Miraculous to steal her yo-yo and exchange almost all of the Miraculous for the Peacock Miraculous, which he never apologises for. Ever. Don't get me wrong, I understand why he did it. It was to protect himself. Like I said, we're going to reference Daddy Gross for doing that now. Gaby Baby threatened to snap him in that episode, which the holder of the Peacock Miraculous can do, even if they don't have the amok. So I understand why Felix needed to get the Peacock Miraculous to protect himself. And in Strike Back, we see for the first time how Felix truly feels about sentient monsters. He apologises to the 3 Strike Backs when they destroy them. I know a lot of people think he's apologising to Ladybug for what he's about to do, but I don't actually think he feels remorse for what he's done, hence why he hasn't actually apologised. I genuinely think he doesn't care, and I firmly believe him saying sorry was to the sentient monsters and not to Ladybug. Absolutely not. So I understand why he did what he did, to protect himself, but you can do that, save yourself, and still feel sorry for having to do something like that, something pretty horrible in order to protect yourself. It would be a great conflict to explore in the story actually, doing something you know is bad but doing it in order to save yourself, to protect yourself, because I understand, but he does not. He's just like, yeah, let's do this. He does not care. His next big appearance is in Emotion in season 5. His appearance in Multiplication isn't of much consequence. Like, what's this, like 2-3 things? It's not much. Where he decides in Emotion to snap everyone apart from Adrian, Kagami and Marinette so they can be saved. Yay! And I get the motivation. I understand it. And when it goes wrong, he apologises to Adrian and Kagami and to Red Moon when he has to destroy them. which we found out in Pretension he feels very strongly about. He uses the Peacock Miraculous to protect himself and to also stop other senti-monsters being created and then destroyed when their usefulness has expired. I do think it's a really good motivation. Although that amazing speech she had at Kagami, it was just completely thrown out the window 5 episodes later in Representation, when they make Once Upon a Time the projector to tell Marinette the story, what's been going on. Then he destroys it when its usefulness has expired. We see the feather. Thanks, Felix. Great lesson. What was the point? So amongst other things, in Representation we learn about Felix's past, including his dad physically abusing him and controlling him with a muck, and it does allude to, although it's for kids so it doesn't state it so explicitly, that Colt got so angry that Felix was basically killing him that Colt tried to kill him by damaging the Amok. And Felix also comes through and tells Marinette who Monarch Daddy is. He doesn't say Gabriel Agreste at any point though, just says the tailor, but he does give her a photo reference, so she is aware of who he is, even though she does nothing with that information for 24 hours, and when she does, she goes to the mansions to find Adrian, and when she does see Monarch Daddy de-transform into Gabriel, it's a complete and utter surprise to her. Like she never knew, but okay. But you know, I've already roasted that plot hole to death, so I won't do it again. For at least another month. And while it was good of him to do that, I guess, you know, he kept it a secret since Daddy arrested season 4 for reasons that I don't know, other than, oh, I can't trust Ladybug because how she treats senti-monsters. Yeah, I highly doubt Marinette Dupencheng was going to kill you, go and have some soup, Felix. No. But I'm still unsure why he does decide to tell it in Representation. I do assume that he just becomes a better person in between Pretension and Representation that we just do not see. And he decides to do it, partially maybe thanks to Kagami's influence. To me, Kagami is someone with good morals, and even if she hadn't found out Marinette was Ladybug in perfection, if she knew Monarch Daddy's identity, I do believe Kagami would stop at nothing to tell Ladybug what she knew. Although Felix and Kagami's motivation for telling Ladybug who he is so they can date in peace.
Then the Miraculous boy met a girl like him. They fell in love.
Just like the Curious Princess and the Tailor before them. They just wanted to be free and to love each other.
But this time it's the Tailor who was trying to stop them.
I don't know. But all that development of Felix becoming a better person happens off screen between kidnapping Kagami in Pretension and showing up in Representation. So basically, Felix's trajectory is he was a bad boy, he did some bad things, and for reasons unbeknownst to me, he decides that life isn't for him. But despite his mysterious turn from anti-hero to the People's Princess, he doesn't come to help in the finale. He was obviously having a really fierce solo ping pong tournament, even though his mum became a Miraculous, but who cares about your mum when you have ping pong? Ping pong is life, am I right? And after all that, he gets to join the hero team. Woo! This boy who tried to assault Ladybug, stole all the Miraculous, snapped her out of existence, gets to join and be redeemed without ever apologising. This is what all social media influencers dream of. Like, this is what they want after never apologising for saying something racist.
On the toxic gossip train, the locomotive's fueled with hateful accusations.
So now it is Chloé's turn. So in season 1, I would describe her as a very typical school bully. She doesn't do anything serious, she's just kind of rude and a bit petty. And before anyone says, oh Hayes, what about Derision? If you're not aware, the flashback sequence in Derision is set before season 1. It's in the previous school year, before Adrian and Ali start at DuPont. They don't have the Miraculous yet. We will come back to Derision, keep it in your mind. We will return, I'm not ignoring it, but just, I'll bring it up when it is time. In season 2, Chloé's mum arrives. We learn about Chloé's past, abandoned by her mum, and how she was neglected and emotionally abused by her, and refusal to call Chloé by her name, / forgetting it, is a form of abuse. Now before anyone says, oh Hayes, those are just fun nicknames. No, they are not. Okay, first of all, calling someone a fun nickname when you know their name is not a form of abuse. For example, Cat Noir calling Ladybug Bugaboo Milady. That's not emotional abuse. He knows her name, well, he doesn't know her name is Marinette. To him, her name is Ladybug, but he calls her fun nicknames the same way she calls him Kitty and stuff like that. She is aware he is Cat Noir, and he is aware she is Ladybug, but they call each other those names. And her refusal to call Chloé by her name, or her forgetting it when it's her own daughter, is a form of abuse. It's not a fun nickname, calling her Courgette and whatever else she calls her. It's a form of abuse. Chloé then finds a bee Miraculous and becomes Queen Bee, and decides to transform in front of everyone because she wants everyone to know that she is Queen Bee. She wants to impress her mum, get her to stay, like in Style Queen. Audrey's like, yeah, this Marinette girl, I don't know her, but I'm going to ignore my daughter and I want Marinette to come back to New York with me. So it's all going pear-shaped, so Chloé transforming is like, I've got to get my mum's attention. She just wants her mum to love her and not leave her again. And she also wants Ladybug to think she does a good job. Chloé really loves Ladybug. She dresses up as Ladybug at different points throughout the show. She has a Ladybug bug plush on her bed. She really looks up to her, and while she does have other instances of bullying during season 2, like in Despair Bear for example, she does a great job in episodes like Maledictator and Mayura, and does become a better person incrementally. I'm not saying we should give her the Nobel Peace Prize. Calm down, bestie. I know by the end of season 2, at the end of Heroes Day, I know she's not a standout example of a human being. I know she's not, but season 1 Chloé compared to season 2 Chloé, season 2 Chloé has improved somewhat in her behaviour. In season 3, Chloé still isn't fully redeemed despite what happened in season 2. For example, her behaviour in episodes like Annie Maestro or Annie Maestro, however you want to say it. But she's getting there. For example, she does a good job in Star Train. She also does a really good job in Miraculous. It's a great last episode for Queen Bee. And she, in my opinion, accepts not getting the Bee Miraculous again rather graciously. But that's all forgotten for the finale. In my opinion, there is no point in season 3 where Chloé kind of turns and becomes like she was in season 1 again, if not worse, between Miraculous and the finale. There isn't really that there. She just kind of suddenly turns in the season 3 finale. However, I would argue she is justifiably upset at Ladybug. She wants to help save her parents, and Ladybug gives the Miraculous to someone else she can no longer give the Miraculous to, which is Kagami, as she also revealed her identity in Akari Gozen. Now, I understand Marinette does this out of jealousy as she sees Adrien and Kagami about to kiss. I understand. However, Chloé doesn't know that. She didn't see any of that. She has no idea. And she doesn't need to know that either. All she sees is Ladybug out with Ryuko when Kagami isn't supposed to be given a Miraculous either. So is Chloé justifiably upset? Yeah. And I would be too if I was her at the same time. I'd be like, excuse me, what are you doing? It's equally as dangerous. And I would also be a little annoyed that someone had broken my bee light, which is what Mayura does. But would it be enough to be akumatized? Sorry, the door's open, the cats keep leaving. I disagree. Like I said, Chloé still has a moment of being a not so great person. Her and Ladybug get on well though, and Chloé still looks up to her. Logically, Chloé should realise that Ladybug is doing what she thinks is best. We know Ladybug isn't doing that, she's doing it out of jealousy, but Chloé doesn't know that. Hello, sir. But logically, she would resist the Akuma like she does in Miraculous. She uses logic to resist the Akuma. But in Miracle Queen, for whatever reason, even though she's quite obviously capable of it, she doesn't use logic. She gets akumatized into Miracle Queen and is blamed, despite how all the adults around her have manipulated her. So in season 4, Soul Crusher and Queen Banana are the first episodes where Chloé is featured the most, and it features a clash between siblings, which I think is pretty standard. If you're an only child or have a big age gap between your siblings, you might not get it. But Chloé and Zoe's arguments in those 2 episodes are really nothing. I have 3 brothers. I think it's pretty normal what they showed. Especially when it seems that Chloé has never met Zoe prior to Soul Crusher. She literally has no idea who she is. We don't see much of Chloé again in season 4 until Penultime. She takes a back seat for most of season 4 to be honest. But in Penultime, Chloé quite rightly gets annoyed when Marinette is mean to her about football. So I'm not surprised she teams up with Lila to keep Marinette away from Adrien. Is it cruel to Marinette? Absolutely it is. But Lila is the only one on Chloé's side at this point. Chloé craves attention and she'll take it where she can get it because of her past of being abused and abandoned. So in season 5, unsurprisingly, Chloé's behaviour gets worse, especially after Derision. We're still not there yet, we'll get there, don't worry, hold on. I'm getting there. I'll make a point, I've got a point to make. Lila is really the only one there for Chloé, so the events of episodes like Adoration, for example, don't surprise me, nor does episode 21, Confrontation, with all the changing of the forms. Is it really cruel to try and mess up everyone's future? Absolutely. But Chloé, again, is desperate for love, and if Lila will give it, Chloé will do what she asks, including helping to mess up everyone's future, get Mr. Damocles fired, Miss Bustier fired, and become the mayor. Which I'm pretty sure isn't possible anyway, but she does it to impress her mum and Lila. Meanwhile, her dad, instead of coming in to save her and to put a stop to all the silly nonsense, he then divorces her mum and decides to take care of Zoe, and he also abandons Chloé. I don't... okay. And then her being mayor goes wrong, and instead of, I don't know, being sympathetic because you're asking a 14-year-old to run a whole city, her mum shouts at her and takes her away. Chloé has no one left, and she breaks down crying on the plane. And I don't know how the writers who wrote that scene, or maybe it was just one writer, I don't know how one or several people expected us to react to that scene. I have a feeling it was for us to be like, oh god, yeah, look how she's such an awful person, look at how terrible she is. She got what she deserved. I don't know if that's what they meant for us to feel, but because of everything Chloé has been through, I just wanted to give her a hug at the end of Revolution. I'm not saying there were things that Chloé did in the show that weren't wrong. They absolutely were. I know she is not a good person, but Chloé has been that way for most of her life, for 14 years. After that length of time, it's hard to change. It's not impossible, don't get me wrong, it is possible, but it is difficult after that long of a time. And she does change somewhat in seasons 2 and 3. She is capable of that change. But no one sticks around long enough to help her. After 14 years, a bit of help every now and then, sadly, just isn't gonna cut it. She needs sustained help. Ladybug and Cat Noir abandon her, so does Sabrina, both of her parents, her sister, everyone at school apart from Lila, and then even then at the end of Revolution, when Lila gets what she wants, Lila seems to abandon her too. So what is Chloé's motivation for being a better person when she's been abused all of her life by her mum, and everyone else abandons her? It just confirms to her that she's just as useless as her mum says she is. It's a confirmation of the abusive words Chloé has dealt all the time, and ever since she's been growing up. And I'm not saying Ladybug or Adrian or her dad or whoever always need to excuse Chloé's actions because of that or stick around when she's being hurtful towards them, but Chloé changing isn't as easy as they make it out to be. Throughout the show at various points she says sorry and takes accountability for what she's done, like in Miraculous, but Felix never once apologises and is allowed on the hero team, despite him doing things just as bad as her, if not worse, as we established at the start of the video. It's literally like all of what Felix did never happened. He gets away with everything he has done. So Chloé and Felix are held to two very different standards, and as I said at the start of the video, they do have a very similar backstory. Felix was abused to the point of almost being killed because his father hated that it was killing him to sustain Felix's life, and Chloé has been emotionally abused by her mum and abandoned by her over again. And I know those two things are not the same, being almost killed by a parent and being abandoned by a parent and emotionally abused by them. I know they are not the same. I'm not pretending they are. However, I do think they have a similar backstory in that they have both been abused from a young age, although it's never stated when Chloé's or Felix's abuse started. I'm not 100% sure. I would assume Felix's abuse and mistreatment ended when Felix's dad died, which seems to happen prior to the show beginning, but only recently. Unsure about Chloé's though, really no idea. The point I'm making though is they have a very similar backstory, very similar traumatic childhoods, but within the fandom, Felix is praised for everything he does in the show pretty much, whereas Chloé is hated. His crimes are arguably worse, but she is hated. They were both abused and that is why they are the way they are, but Chloé is hated. Felix's actions are excused by the fandom because his dad abused him. Chloé's mum abusing her is completely ignored. Past trauma does not excuse present actions. Chloé doesn't get a free pass, that's not what I'm saying. I agree she shouldn't get a free pass. Being abused, while it may explain how you act or react to a situation, doesn't allow you to treat others horribly. Explain doesn't mean the same as excuse. But then why are we excusing the way Felix treats people because of his past? The amount of times I see someone online defending Felix because of what happened to him, but in the replies someone will bring up Chloé and talk about what she's been through, and in response everyone will list all the awful things she's done. even though Felix has done the same things as her on a worse scale, but he gets a free pass. And in the same theme of past trauma doesn't excuse actions, even Marinette gets a free pass. In derision, we're talking about it now, the episode to me serves two functions. The first of which is to excuse Marinette's creepy behaviour towards Adrien.
I'll never tell another boy that I love him before I know everything about him. Whether he's kind or not, thoughtful, what he does outside of school, and with who, I'll know everything. His birthday, all his first names, his schedule, his favorite things.
She says she'll never develop feelings for a boy without knowing everything about him, although she never does any of that where Luca is concerned during season 3, I don't know. But again, her past trauma from derision in this episode doesn't excuse her actions. It explains them, but does not make them okay. And the second purpose of derision was to show us of how awful a person Chloé is. If you're not aware, the flashback in derision is set 2 weeks from the end of the previous school year. So the previous school year in France is going to end towards the beginning of July, and it will start up the next school year in Origins in the first week of September. So in between the flashback in derision and Origins starting, it's only been roughly 2 months. So you'd expect Chloé to be just as awful in season 1 as she is in the derision flashback. But in season 1, Chloé isn't really like that. Don't be wrong, she is a school bully, saying mean things, but season 1 Chloé isn't filming her classmates almost drowning after a prank she helped to pull off. She's not a very nice person in season 1, but what happens in derision in the flashback isn't in keeping with Chloé's character to do that. In the flashback, Chloé pretty much nearly kills Marinette, and she took great delight in it. In derision in the flashback, it depicts Chloé as some kind of sadist. It's so out of character for her, and logically it doesn't make any sense at all. Particularly as Marinette is fine for the entire school year until the last month in derision, despite constantly being around Chloé and Kim, the people who caused the trauma in the first place, and frequently going to the pool, like in episodes like in Mr. Pigeon 72, and going to the school, because the trauma isn't just linked to the pool where the spiders were, there were other instances at school, especially in the locker room, in the science classroom. And speaking of the pool in Mr. Pigeon 72, how she falls into the pool there in that episode with Adrien is very similar to what happened in the derision flashback. It would absolutely, in that episode, bring the trauma back for her, but it doesn't happen. She's totally fine. It's the weirdest retcon I think I've personally ever seen, to firstly excuse Marinette being creepy around Adrien, which is just bizarre in my opinion, and to show that Chloé is basically the Antichrist. And if Chloé is so awful after doing that, then why on earth is Kim, who also did that, no, he didn't know exactly what was going on, but he still did that to her, why is he being allowed to still use the monkey Miraculous? If I was Marinette, I'd never be able to trust Kim again. And while I'm aware it wasn't Marinette who initially gave Kim the monkey Miraculous, it was Master Fu in Party Crasher, I know it wasn't Marinette. Marinette does make the decision to give the Miraculous back to Kim to use on several other occasions. The flashback in derision doesn't actually make any sense. Another double standard in the show is with the Akumas, so let's go back to that tweet of Thomas Astruc's. So Chloé, she transformed in front of everybody, willingly damaged a train to play hero, nearly killed passengers to play hero, refused to give the Miraculous back, gets akumatized as a Miraculous holder, double threat, nice gift to Hawkmoth, and paralysed the whole city, but good job Queen Bee. Now, like I said before, I'm not disputing it, that is all factually correct. However, most of that was done while Chloé was akumatized, while she was being manipulated by an adult. So whereas Felix, he also transformed in front of everyone, willingly snapped everyone out of existence, didn't nearly kill innocent people, he actually did kill them, and refused to give the Miraculous back. And he wasn't akumatized for any of that. So what is Felix's excuse? Felix did the same thing and then took it up several notches and did it even worse, but he gets to join the team, while Chloé gets taken away to be abused by her mum. And further than just double standards against Felix, there are double standards for Chloé versus everyone in the show. It's discussed at points during the show that when you're akumatized, the actions you take are really not your fault, you can't help it, like Alia and Nino discuss in The Puppeteer 2.
I know that we're not really ourselves when we're akumatized, but it's weird to see ourselves like that, as supervillains.
It's because you don't look at them properly. These aren't supervillains. These are all the people Ladybug and Cat Noir have saved.
However, when when Chloé is akumatized, especially into Queen Mare, it is absolutely her fault. And before anyone says, oh well, she was willingly akumatized, pretty much everybody in this show is willingly akumatized. I hate to break it to her. The only times I can think of when someone is not willingly is Adrien in Cat Blanc and Miss Bustier in Zombie Zoo. Adrien is resisting, but he can't find the strength to break free, and Miss Bustier does it in order to protect Marinette. Everyone else, when they get akumatized, no matter if they're on the bad side traditionally or the good side traditionally, are just like, hell yeah, sign me up, Hawkmoth, akumatize me, I'll do whatever you ask.
I heard through the grapevine that you're seeking to unmask Ladybug. I'd like to help you if you agree to help me too.
I'll expose the lies of anyone who covers up the truth. Sign me up.
Pretty much everyone, when they're akumatized in the show, is willing because they're feeling all that rage and revenge inside them. Yet, Chloé is blamed for her actions when she's akumatized, even though Miraculous Ladybug repairs pretty much all of it, and even though she is a child being manipulated by a grown man, Gabriel Agreste. In comparison, Felix has never been akumatized. He makes his own choices, he has autonomy. Chloé doesn't really seem to possess much autonomy. Her actions are guided by what the people in her life who mean the most to her would want, or what she thinks they want. Her mum praises bullying, so Chloé does that, but Felix kind of does a lot of this stuff because he wants to. It's in order to get something he wants. Yet Chloé is not given the same consideration as him, and it's just really sad to have to watch. So, in conclusion, I'm not really sure what the conclusion is. I always hope the writers will turn around one day and be like, oh, we got you! Chloé is getting redeemed, it was just a long way to get there, 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of thing, but we're gonna do it. And I also hope at some point in season 6, Ladybug and Argos, or Marinette and Felix, or whatever combination, do have a conversation around his past actions. Logically, Marinette shouldn't be able to trust him after everything he's done, not on her team. He betrayed her in Strike Back, then he turned around and betrayed Gaby Baby in Representation. There's nothing to say he's not going to betray Ladybug again in season 6 or 7 or 25, however long we're doing this for. He's shown himself to be an untrustworthy person. But I guess it is a bit hard to conclude this video because while they still could redeem Chloé and Felix's development could be looked at more, there isn't really a way to fix these double standards between them without retconning parts of the show. I do find it very interesting though, like if they knew from the very start, from season 1, that Chloé could never be good, then it's certainly an odd choice to show us that Chloé is a victim of abuse. Like, I wouldn't have had that as her backstory if they weren't going to do that. Don't show us Chloé's mum abandoning her, or emotionally abusing her, Audrey forgetting her own daughter's name. Have them be mean together. Not Audrey being mean to Chloé, but them ganging up on people together, whether it's Andre, Zoe, someone else entirely. The quickest fix to it would have not have ever given Chloé a tragic backstory in the first place. Felix is given one too, and as the show goes on, particularly in Representation, he is quite rightly shown as a victim, but Chloé, who is also a victim, is always seen as sinister and horrible. Felix backstabbed the protagonist, gave almost all the Miraculous to the villain, caused Marinette a huge amount of distress, and after all that he gets a girlfriend and to be part of the hero team. Without apologising and not facing any consequences for his betrayal, he turned to the good side and everyone pretends he didn't do anything at all. Make it make sense. Despite being a child, Chloé has become a scapegoat, and it really feels like she's only kept around so the writers can keep going, wait, no, there's more, let me show you how much more awful she can get. Like, I did expect Chloé in the Reverse special to be, I don't know, the opposite of what she is like in our world, like Adrien, Marinette and Gabriel are. They're the opposite. But no, turns out Chloé's awful in every single world because she's completely and utterly irredeemable. We can't redeem a school bully, but we can redeem an assaulter, and leading off that, we can't redeem a school bully, but we can redeem a child abuser. I'm talking about Gabriel. He abuses Adrien for the entire show, if not longer, because we don't get to see anything prior to Origins between them. Yet he gets redeemed in his final scene when he wins, despite abusing his son and terrorising Paris for a whole year. But Chloé gets punished for being manipulated by the people around her, most of whom were adults, when she was a child. Very few people seem to realise the double standards Chloé is measured against and adore Felix instead, when he's done far worse than she has, or at the minute anyway. If Chloé is truly back for season 6, then they'll probably make her even worse, which is why I'm on the fence of her coming back. I love her and I want to see her again and I hope she's okay, which, yes, I am aware is a silly thing to say about a character who is fictional, but I also don't want them to ruin her any further, so I kind of want them to leave her alone, basically. But anyway, that's just what I think of the situation. Do you think there are double standards between Chloé and Felix? I'd love to know what you all think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!